Hey, hi, hello, and welcome back to yet another edition of Where It's At. Yes, that is right, Where It's At is back this year for a brand new season. Basically, I'll be talking about a handful of albums and EPs that I really enjoyed throughout January and February of 2024 in the hopes that you'll go and check them out and hopefully like them yourself. So let's dive right into this list because I do think this episode is going to be a little bit longer than they have been in the past, and I don't want to bore you for too much time. It should also be noted that these lists are in alphabetical order. There is no real rhyme or reason to it outside of that. Don't go thinking that this is my ranked list or anything along those lines. That's the general gist, and if it doesn't make sense to you right now, then please continue to watch and hopefully it'll clear some things up for you. But getting into things, the first album that I want to talk about is The Legend of ABM by Angry Black Men. This is a really great hip-hop record that was put out by Death Bomb Arc. If you're a fan of industrial beats, if you like the sounds of Nine Inch Nails or stuff like that, and you want to hear it translated in a hip-hop mentality, then this is the record for you. Brian and Quentin come in here and lay down some of their best bars ever, in my opinion. They are very in-your-face and unapologetic. This is probably their best album too, at least in my humble opinion, and I've been following these guys for quite some time. Quick little side tangent, I remember these guys DM'd me back in like 2018 or something like that, asking if I would do a music video shoot for them. It never really panned out, obviously, as they're from Chicago and I'm from Philly. It just didn't really make sense. But I've been following this group ever since, and I'm pretty sure they got their start in 2017, so I pretty much have been there since the beginning. It's been cool to see them glow up and grow and really become this fantastic underground hip-hop duo. So yeah, be sure to give The Legend of ABM a proper spin. If you're a hip-hop head, then you're probably gonna like this, and you should hop on now before the bandwagon gets too full. Moving on, we have What a Fucking Nightmare by The Chisel. Admittedly, this is not my favorite album on this list, but it is packed to the gills with some really great punk tunes. These are thrashing, aggressive songs that are fueled by pure anger. When the vocals aren't being screamed directly into your ear holes, they can also be cheeky and fun. For an album that has 16 or 17 songs on the track list, it only runs about 40 minutes, so you're bound to find at least one short banger in there that you'll enjoy. I do kind of wish I had listened to their last album, Retaliation, when it initially dropped, I believe back in 2023, but hey, you can't win them all. And if you're already a fan of The Chisel and you think I should be covering them and so you're interested in, leave a comment below because I could definitely be swayed to do so. Another standout album comes in the form of Substation's My Home, Melancholy My Bride by Dutch Masters. This is some super interesting fifth wave emo that is deeply rooted in ambient music. It's very, very lo-fi, but the strength of the orchestration helps to make this stand above the rest. It's got a bunch of off-the-wall emo bangers mixed in with some disassociative synth and noise sections. This is probably for people who already listen to fifth wave emo and want to explore a more electronic-based styling of that genre. It's a rather short but very honed-in record to the sounds that Kelly wanted to make. I think that she absolutely knocked it out of the park, and I'm very glad that I picked up a copy on cassette. Moving along, but also sticking with the fifth wave emo sound, we have Plastic Death by Glass Beach. This is a remarkably diverse and intricate record that is emotional beyond belief. Now, this album is a bit long for my tastes. I know I'm an asshole for saying that, but I do prefer having my music coming in smaller packages, but even with that being said, this record must be heard in full. It might not hit throughout its entire 1 hour plus runtime, but even then, the parts that do hit, well, you're gonna want to be around for them. Regardless, this is a great record, and I do think that it warrants your time. Next up, coming in at a much shorter runtime, is Rationale by Glitterer. This could possibly be my favorite Glitterer record to date. If you know nothing about this band, the short pitch is that this is Ned from Title Fight's side project, or main project at this point. It really doesn't matter, but what you do need to know is that this is a pretty straightforward rock record with a very grounded sonic texture. These songs are short and to the point, but they really never feel rushed. They find a way to utilize these keyboard sounds that become a cornerstone throughout the record. It's a very nice touch, and it makes for a fantastic listening experience. I'm not going to say too much though, as I am currently in the process of writing a So You're Interested in video on Glitterer, so I'm sure we'll talk about it more then. Chugging along, we have Third Wind by Golfer. This is an eclectic emo record that is lo-fi and scuzzy, but still full of sound. It's got some really catchy riffs spread throughout, and some even catchier lyrics. I haven't listened to this a ton yet, but even through my limited listens, I must say, I quite enjoyed this. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I'm some lifelong Golfer fan or anything like that, but I do think that this record might change that. Pretty handedly coming in first place for the loudest record on this list is Obsidian Wreath by Infant Island. This is a crazy good screamo, black metal, grindcore hodgepodge of unmitigated anger, which in turn easily makes it one of my favorite albums on this list. It caters directly to my needs. When this record first came out, somebody in the Forever Spinning Discord, link down below, said that this album reminded them of Sunbather by Deafheaven, and to be completely honest, I agree. Sure, they're completely different albums, I'm not trying to make that claim, but the sentiment is absolutely there. Anywho, I will be releasing a So You're Interested In video on Infant Island coming this week, so stay tuned. And speaking of So You're Interested In videos, this next album comes from a band that we just covered. That's right, it's Paul Bunyan's Slingshot by Liquid Mike. I'm not gonna go too long on this one, you've already heard my thoughts. It's definitely my favorite album of 2024 thus far. It is stupidly catchy from the riffs to the hooks, everything about this thing just screams listenability. This is the power indie rock record that we always deserve. I really don't need to say this again, but still, go out and listen to Paul Bunyan's Slingshot by Liquid Mike, and if you choose not to do so, that's fine, but just know that you are dead to me. Next up, we have Let's Die by My Turn to Win. This was released by Knife Hits Records in Philadelphia, and it is full of punk and hardcore goodness. If I'm not mistaken, this was written like 10 plus years ago, and they finally decided to release it. All 10 of these songs are aggressive and right up in your face throughout its 17-minute runtime. It's really nothing out of the ordinary, but it still features some banging tunes that are absolutely worth checking out. Plus, I haven't seen too many music publications talking about this record, so I figured that I would use my tiny little platform here to promote this as much as I can. One record that did get a lot of love from music publications is Under Sound by Prize Horse. This is a very, very heavy shoegaze album with some super thick sonic textures. The songwriting is excellent. It's definitely the best material that this band has ever produced. I'll admit, it did take a couple of listens for me to finally understand and really get this record, but it's definitely worth the time that you put in. I remember when they dropped the Welder EP a couple of years ago, and I thought that it was really great, but I had no idea how much hype was behind this record until it finally dropped. So yeah, if you consider yourself a shoegaze fan, then Under Sound by Prize Horse is definitely up your alley. Moving along, we have All of Heaven's Luck by Rejoice. This, my friends, is some good old-fashioned hardcore. This shit fucking rips, as the riffs are super solid, the breakdowns are crazy, and I absolutely love the vocals. Everything about this record is sneered and barked with unapologetic authority. This is some skull-cracking goodness that I can't recommend enough. Before we move into the EPs, I do have two quick albums that I would like to mention. The first one being Sophomore Slump Call It Hump by Stomach Book. Holy shit, this is a wild fucking ride. It's emo at heart, but it isn't afraid to branch out into all these other wonderful sonic stylings. It's a crazy mix that isn't necessarily cohesive as much as it is an excellent experience. I enjoyed the first Stomach Book LP, I was even lucky enough to get a copy of it on vinyl, but I really do think that I enjoy Sophomore Slump Call It Hump even more. I haven't really dug into it too much yet, but I would love to do so over the coming weeks. And to close out this album section, I do want to touch on the new mixtape from Super Destroyer, Yeah, Fine, Okay. I only got a chance to listen to this once all the way through so far, but I did really enjoy it. This features some of the best Super Destroyer songs that have been released, but this time with brand new mixes, production, artists behind them. There are so many wild sonic ideas going on here, it's all over the place, and I'm glad that it's classified as a mixtape for that reason. There's a pretty solid chance that I'll listen to this mixtape while editing this very video, and I know myself well enough that I'll get pissed that I hear something and didn't get a chance to mention it in this video, but hey, that's just how shit goes sometimes. And if you know nothing about Super Destroyer, then allow me to point you in the right direction by checking out my So You're Interested video on their discography. Be sure to check that video out, but not right now, because we still have some EPs to talk about. The first EP that I want to mention is 3 songs by Agile. If you're a fan of lo-fi, DIY screamo, then this is absolutely an EP worth your time. It's pretty rough around the edges, the recording quality isn't all that great, but it's the songs themselves that you should really be paying attention to. And actually, one of the people who made this EP is a Forever Spinning fan, that is Tape Rot on Instagram. They reached out to me via DM and put me onto this. My favorite song from this EP has to be Stress Leads to Resentment, Resentment Leads to an Early Grave. Help out a fellow Forever Spinning viewer by checking out this EP. Next up, we have this Birds in Row Coil Guns project, You and I in the Gap. I think they're called Coil Guns. I didn't actually check it out before recording this, so I might look like a big old dickhead right now. This is a great collaboration between these two different bands. This is mainly a post-hardcore EP, so if that's the sound that you like, then I absolutely recommend checking this out. The title track, You and I in the Gap, is absolutely my favorite from this record. It's not my favorite EP on this list, but I have listened to it a couple of times and still find myself coming back to it. It did make me realize that I really need to get started on a Birds in Row So You're Interested In, and if you would like to see that, please leave a comment below. I would also like to highlight this new self-titled Dime EP. This for fans of Title Fight and other bands of that nature, because you could not convince me that this was not written by Title Fight themselves. That's a joke, it's clearly not them, but what Dime have going on here is very similar to their sonic soundscape. Some riffs are heavy as hell, while while other riffs are dreamy and kind of shoegazy. The vocals go hard in the paint, and the overall project sounds amazing. I've been playing this EP pretty much non-stop since it came out, and I will definitely be keeping my eye on this band in the years to come. The only hip-hop EP to be mentioned in this video is going to be Wish You Were Here by They Hate Change. They Hate Change might as well be Forever Spinning alumni at this point. I've talked about this duo so many times, and that's mainly because Andre and Vaughn never disappoint, and Wish You Were Here is a prime example. All of the lightning fast instrumentals underneath of these songs are so catchy and fun, you can't help yourself but get up and dance to them. This isn't necessarily my favorite EP by them. I still think that 666 Central Ave is their best, but Wish You Were Here is nothing to sneeze at, as all 5 of these songs are really good, despite me not being too fond of the intro skit. I don't know, it's a little long-winded for my taste, but it still does fit the overall vibe of the EP. They Hate Change is absolutely one of my favorite hip-hop duos in the game right now, and I am patiently awaiting their new LP whenever that may come. And to round out this EP's list, we have Dormant Horror by Torture Hammer. This is some relentless hardcore and grindcore that is absolutely nasty and hits hard as fuck. The riffs are nuts, and the entire 10-minute runtime is completely enthralling. I'm pretty sure this features members of the hardcore band Spy in it, but I didn't really do my research, so I could be wrong. Whatever, it's fine. All that you need to know is that this shit is so fucking hard, and I'm basically on my hands and knees begging for a full-length LP. And that is going to do it for this episode of Where It's At. Hopefully you get some time to check out these projects if you haven't done so already. I hope I was able to give you some good recommendations, especially with some of these bands not being all that popular right now and not really being talked about as much as they should be. But still, there's so much music out there that I probably missed, so please leave a comment below if I missed one of your favorite albums or EPs of January or February of 2024. Please be sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already for more videos just like this every other month, along with shows like So You're Interested In, Stacks of Wax, and The Variety Show. Also have a fun video coming out in the next 2 weeks or so. I'm not going to spoil anything right now, but hopefully you guys are going to enjoy it. And that's all that I have for you this time around, aside from my usual reminder for you to go out and support your local record store if you are able to, along with the local artists in your area. And well, until I see you next time, happy listening.